South African Hilux fans have been waiting for a while, but it's finally here, the new 8th generation Toyota Hilux. It has spent almost the last 50 years on top of the local sales charts, but lately it's been receiving some stiff competition from the new facelifted Ford Ranger. Now the reason for this is that the double cab market has shifted from a purely commercial application to more leisure use these days. What we want to find out today is if this Hilux has gone soft to increase its leisure appeal, or has it stayed true to its roots, which will obviously please the farming community. So what has changed on the outside? Well, firstly, the newer Hilux is bigger in all dimensions compared to the previous model. The biggest change, however, has happened up front. There's a longer nose overhang, the corners are more chiseled, and from some angles it does look a bit awkward. It reminds me of a World War II amphibious vehicle, but Toyota has increased the approach angle to 31 degrees. The side profile is more generic Hilux and the ground clearance is now 286 mm. At the back, the load bay has also increased in size and the payload for the model we've got here today is 925 kilograms. Under the bonnet you'll find a brand new 2.8 litre turbo diesel engine, replacing the old 3 litre D4D unit. This now delivers 130 kilowatts and 420 Newton meters when connected to the 6-speed manual gearbox we've got here today. In the automatic 6-speed version, that figure will be up to 450 Newton meters. Now arguably the biggest change has happened on the inside of the new Hilux, where it really had to raise its game to compete in the leisure market. So as you can see here, we've got a new tablet-like touchscreen infotainment system on a modern dash. We've got reach and rake adjustment on the steering wheel, and that short little stubby gear lever for the transfer case is now gone and replaced with this electronic rotary dial. The only thing that is left from the 1980s is still that digital clock on top of the dash. As it's a leisure bakkie, the rear bench will be used quite a lot for family use and so on, so it's quite important. Well, I'm 1.94 meters tall and there's adequate space for me, but the Hilux isn't class leading in this regard. Let's go and find out how it performs on the road. Now with a leisure bakkie, on-road performance is quite important, and the previous generation Hilux has been heavily criticized for its harsh ride qualities. The engineers at Toyota have listened, and this new Hilux is much better in that department. But personally I feel the ride is still a bit firm compared to some of the opposition bakkies. Another problem with a bumpy ride is with a touchscreen infotainment system, it's difficult to locate the correct button. You have to take your eyes off the road for quite some time. At least the satellite buttons on the steering wheel helps to alleviate this problem somewhat. The trump card of this bakkie is that new 2.8 turbo diesel engine under the bonnet. It is a quiet and refined unit, but it's still got plenty of power on the go. I know that 0 to 100 times is not important for bakkie owners, but we've tested this to be 10.8 seconds, which is remarkable for a 2-ton double cab bakkie. Another plus is the fuel consumption of this bakkie. The claimed figure is 7.6 liters per 100, but we've conducted our own fuel route test and it returned 7.9 liters per 100, which I think is remarkable. But enough about this on-road behavior, let's go and see how good it is off-road. As with the previous generation Hilux, this is also fitted with the low transfer case, so your low range 4-wheel drive, and it's got a button to engage electronically the rear diff lock. A new function on this generation of Hilux is called IMT, and what it does is when you downshift with a manual transmission that we've got here today, it actually matches the engine speed to the road speed, which makes progress a lot smoother. We've got quite a steep hill behind us, so let's see how she goes. The Hilux is known for good axle articulation, and as we're facing a steep drop off to the left here, you'll have a chance to witness this in the new Hilux. We'll also be employing the hill descent control on the steep downhill. The Hilux has undergone a few changes to aid its leisure appeal. And yes, we got defeated by one obstacle today, that very steep powdery hill. But driving the Hilux today, it still feels as tough as nails, comparable to the old one. Although if you're in the market for a leisure activity vehicle, but will mostly drive on tar roads and in city environments, also consider the soft roader category, like for example the Toyota RAV4. But if you're keen on the tough stuff as well, I can wholeheartedly recommend the Toyota Hilux.